Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warriors Fastbreak here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thanks for joining us. We'll start off this week talking men's basketball with head coach Todd Eisner. And first, we'll wrap up the week or the weekend. Minot State was first in town last weekend, and maybe a game you want to forget a little bit about. Tell us what happened in that game.
Yeah, I didn't play very well, and I think it's becoming pretty identifiable that that we live and die by making three-point shots, and unfortunately, it many times affects our defense. And it was probably as bad as we played defensively over 40 minutes throughout the season. So it ended up just being a clunker. We didn't make threes, and it affected how hard we guarded on the defensive end of the floor. They got pretty much whatever they wanted, and it ended up just being a bad matchup for us. All
right, and David Akibo was mainly the big threat for Minot State in that game. Ended up with 19 points and 11 rebounds, and overall, I don't need to tell you the numbers you know, but just for our viewers, 50 points in the paint. That's obviously a problem. You did address it the next night, but that night, was there anything that you could do throughout the game to maybe try to counter any of that?
Well, I think not only did Akibo hurt us with posting up and driving it, but I thought that was the worst job we've done defending the dribble. So they got to where they got a lot of drives into the paint, a lot of layups at the rim. We just didn't sit down on people and fight the dribble like we need to, and that gave them a lot of easy opportunities. Anytime a team shoots 64% in a game, you're probably going to lose. Yeah. And then you combine that with us going 8 for 24 from the three, and that's why you lose by 15. So every time we tried to make a little bit of a rally, obviously I didn't even feel good at halftime. We were down 3 at the half and didn't do anything to make them uncomfortable. And then we came out the second half and shot 38%, and that's why the game got spread out like it did. But every time, even in the second half when we cut it to 7, I think twice, they came down and scored, I think, on 8 of their last 11 possessions to end the game. And anytime you do that, you're probably in harm's way.
So what was your message to the team then after that game heading into Saturday?
Well, I wasn't real happy, and I talked to him more on Saturday morning. In this league, you've got to file it away. I mean, in a good way and a bad way. I mean, obviously, if you play well, you want to carry that momentum with you, and if you don't play well, you got to learn from it as quick as you can and try to cover up your mistakes. But what we're finding out is I thought Minot athletically really hurt us, at a lot of positions. And when we get matched up against athletic teams, whether it's a Mankato, a St. Cloud, Minot in that case on Friday night, we just have not handled that very well, and did a better job on Saturday.
All right, well, let's talk about Saturday, because as you said, I mean, it was like a night and day difference. It was lockdown on defense. You guys are shooting well. You ended up with one of the best margins of victory that you've had this season. In your mind, what was different on Saturday?
Made threes. It really is. I mean, it's we just. Our margin of error is really small. We're not very big in terms of height. We're not very strong physically, which we've got to work on. It's not something that is helping us this year. It's actually hurting us, our physical stature. We're not very athletic, and so we just matched up better with Mary on Saturday. We did a nice job on Kreklo, who's a good post presence and had a solid sophomore year for him. We did a nice job on Helibus, who had 19 the night before at Upper Iowa, and he did not score. So, we did some better things defensively, but again, it was just a matchup that suited our eye better. But anytime you come out and make 10 of 11 threes in the first half, it gives your guys some confidence. And for us, unfortunately, in a good way, bad way, when we make threes, we seem to have a little more bounce on the defensive end of the floor, and that was probably the difference in the 2 nights.
Well, one of the things you mentioned, Kreklo, and I wanted to ask you about this, because from our vantage point at the scorer's table and the broadcast table, we noticed that whenever he would get the ball in the post, you would double, and he would immediately retreat. He'd back up from the post and get out of the lane completely. Was that something that you saw in video heading into the weekend?
Well, it's a little bit. We haven't had it happen. I think if it's going to happen to us, it's going to happen to Kevion if he's posting. But I think, from a teaching standpoint, if you want to get rid of the double team, that's what you teach players to do, is to retreat, dribble away from the rim. Usually most teams are going to then leave the double, and can you get the ball back? And I don't know if that was their teaching point, but we just didn't want him to get deep post touches in the paint. He can turn right-handed, he can turn left-handed and score. And again, it's just something we're trying to do to help Tommy a little bit. I mean, Tommy obviously has a skill set where he shoots the ball really well from the arc, but at the end of the day, he's 205 pounds and can get overmatched physically. So last year and this year, we've decided to double in the post, and so we just stay consistent with it. No matter if someone's averaging 5 points a game or 20 points a game, we're just going to go get the 5-man and put some pressure on him there.
All right, you have 4 games remaining in the regular season and then playoffs kind of looming at the end of that. What are some things that you do now in practice, knowing what you know about your team, knowing what you need to do in order to get wins this year as you head out on your last road trip?
You know, at this time of the year, it's really kind of a review situation. At least early in practice, we try to do in probably 3 to 5 minute segments, some quick reviews of just some fundamental things, almost all of them defensive, and then get some shooting in, and then we'll do about an hour's work of whoever we're going to see that weekend. So that was a combination yesterday of Sioux Falls things and Southwest things. Obviously, that's the only weekend that we swept at home in conference play this season, which is not necessarily a good thing, but it was a good weekend for us there. But we also got to know that you know, if they're like us, or at least like me, they're looking for payback this weekend. So we're going to have to be really good in either game. Sioux Falls has struggled a little bit, lost 4 of their last 5, I think, or 4 of their last 6. And obviously, you know, in that game we win by 3, but we made 17 threes. And then we played very well against Southwest on Friday night, have them on their senior night, and they've got a big batch of important seniors, Brigham being the lead, but Lee and Schaefer and Bartlett. So I'm assuming on Saturday we're going to see a very fired up team also.
Absolutely. You know, we saw Brigham, I think it was the weekend after you had him score like 60 points in a game, which is just incredible. So because you got the sweep, you know, people might say, oh, this might be a good weekend for Winona State, but obviously everybody changes. So how do you head into a weekend like this, knowing what you know about their team? Do you even look at what happened the last time that you matched up, or is it a clean slate?
Oh no, I mean, obviously we've broken down both the first game videos of each team and try to figure out how they guarded us, you know, what we did well against them offensively, what we did well against them defensively, and try to grow that scout, that prep this week, and put ourselves in a position to play well both nights. But like I said, I mean, the scary part is, we mentioned Brigham, I mean, he can go off for 30 on any night. He had 29 against us. The first time we played him, he had the first 14 points of the game for him. And then they've got Evans and Giebert on Friday night, both averaged 20 points a game. And Giebert had a very good game against us the first time, and so did Chase Grindy. Evans did not have as good a game. So, you know, we expect obviously both teams to be very fired up to play us. And you know, right now we just got to take it, you know, focus on Sioux Falls for right now and figure out a way to try to win that game.
All right, last question for this segment then is the health question. How's the team doing health-wise?
Yeah, I mean, as good as we can be at this time of the year. I think we'll just keep our fingers crossed that we don't have anything that comes up that puts us in a position where our rotations have to shrink or change, and you know, figure out a way to get through the next couple of weeks. All
right, we're going to take a break here on Warriors Fast Break. When we come back, TJ Lake, graduate assistant coach, will join us right after this.
Kelmus Implement Company is an agricultural equipment dealership. Back in 2016, when HBC brought fiber optics to Altura, we saw a huge benefit in internet speeds over previous providers. With our vendors requiring real-time communications with our inventory and parts books, the internet speed has given us an advantage over our competition. I would recommend HBC's products because HBC has helped Kelmus Implement grow.
Contact HBC about our lightning-fast home and business internet connections today.
Wondering where you can go to find great old movies? Well, look no further than HBC TV 25. Each week, TV 25 presents the HBC movie, and we won't monkey around. We'll show you movies like Night of the Living Dead, Giant Gila Monster, The Fat Spy, His Girl Friday, and others. Join us mornings at 12:30 a.m., and for those of you with better sleeping habits, Saturday afternoon at 2 on HBC TV 25 for the HBC movie.
And welcome back to Warriors Fast Break on HBC TV 25, now joined by TJ Lake. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Obviously, Coach Eisner let you know that we do some research on you, and so we try to ask you questions based on your history. You were a Minnesota State Maverick.
I was.
And we saw you a couple
and
of times.
And we still hired him.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, obviously, Winona State has Minnesota State as their rival. What is it from the other side? What is it like from the Mankato side?
As far as our rivalry,
yeah.
I think there's been a lot of tradition with the two teams. It's kind of cool to be on the other side of it now. One of their assistants actually texted me when I got the job and said I was switching over to the dark side. But so, I mean, it's been pretty cool though to see it from both angles, and I think I'm glad to be a Warrior now. So.
Oh, very good. Well, you did have some pretty good games against the Warriors. I think you posted career highs in like points and rebounds and that sort of thing. What was it like from the playing side, playing against Winona State?
It was always tough. You knew you were going to go against tough guys, and you don't get many nights off in this league, and that's still true today. So we got a tough, hard-working crew, and I think they did back then too.
Okay. Now here's the golden question: what does a graduate assistant do?
What do I do? I try to be around as much as I can during the day. Just help out with day-to-day activities. I got to set up for practice, uploading films after games, doing some laundry, just kind of all the little things, all the little dirty work that most people don't really see.
Okay, and what is it that you look for in a graduate assistant when you're trying to fill out your coaching staff?
Yeah, TJ has a tough job because he does exactly, the things that people don't see about our profession is what TJ is doing all throughout the day. Coach Melvick probably comes up with a to-do list for him every single day. He's involved with a lot of our, kind of the groundwork of our recruiting, so he's doing a lot of research on people that we're identifying throughout the year that we may be interested in, and then we'll have TJ do a little bit of the background work on them to find out, kind of where they're from, how they're playing at this particular time, so on and so forth. So he's heavily involved in kind of the early stages of our recruiting process. Obviously, TJ's background, while he was even playing at finished up at the University of Dubuque, was doing a lot of skill work, and so I think he's just kind of taken it upon himself in practice to start working with some guys individually, working with their shots, working with their skill development. And then, like he said, after games, he's doing laundry, he's uploading film. The graduate assistant spot is not glorious in any way, shape, or form. I didn't know if I told TJ that when I interviewed him, but he's finding that out now, and it takes a lot of work, but hopefully he's seeing some benefits out of doing those things.
Now, one of the things that we talk to players about is having to balance their schoolwork and the practice schedule and the game schedule. Yours is maybe a little bit more than that because you have all of these jobs, and then maybe school is a little bit tougher because you're going for a degree past your graduate degree. So what is that like for you to go through all of that?
Just staying organized, and that's one thing kind of Coach Melvick's talked to me a lot about throughout the course of the year, is being able to stay organized and stay on top of everything. And he kind of gave me a heads up, like once the season hits, you're going to be really busy. So just trying to do my best, being on top of things, whether it's assignments, printing scouts, setting up jerseys, going to get the water and Gatorade for the bus trips, all that kind of stuff. Just being on top of it and making sure they don't have to worry.
All right. Well, you get to have some fun activities too. I saw you were the referee for the alumni game
Yeah.
When that came about. What was that like for you?
That was a fun experience. I played against a few of those guys out there, so I was kind of busting their chops a little bit. One of them actually hit a game winner against us, so it was kind of funny. And I told him he was going to get quick 5 fouls, but that didn't happen. So,
well, I did hear from some of the players, they were kind of razzing you on some of the calls you made or some of the calls you didn't make. So you kind of got that experience as a referee. How did you take that?
You got to have thick skin as a ref. I'm sure I've said some things to refs before, and that I probably don't, wish I could take back. But it's all fun and games.
All right, final question. What's the ultimate goal for you then? What's your future like in basketball?
I want to keep continuing to learn. I've learned a lot from Coach Eisner and Coach Malvick this year so far. Just trying to be a sponge and soak it all in, and hopefully, eventually down the road, have a chance to be a head coach of my own team.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us this week, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks for joining us, and we're going to take a break here. We're going to switch to women's basketball. Head coach Scott Ballard will join us right after this.
What's a Southern girl? It's waking up before the sun rises. It's loving the simple things in life, like the dirt roads that lead you home. It's working hard to get what you want. It's hanging your own stands, breaking your own ground, and strategizing every little move for that one moment when everything you've worked for is standing right in front of you. Even if I fail a million times, I keep pushing myself till I'm exhausted, filthy, and about to give up. And that's when the adrenaline hits.
How much bandwidth will satisfy your home's hunger? The average household now uses 7 wireless devices a day, including TVs, laptops, tablets, and smartphones. HD streaming and gaming can use large amounts of data and slow down speeds for other users. The more devices you use, the more bandwidth your home needs. So make sure you have enough bandwidth. Get up to 1 gig, that's 1,000 megs, with internet from HBC. It's the speed you need to power all your devices. Call today.
Welcome back to Warriors Fast Break here on HBC TV 25. Time now to talk women's basketball with head coach Scott Ballard. And I remember last week, and we mentioned it during the broadcast, you said you weren't sure if you were a three-point shooting team or not this season. And this past weekend, you had maybe the best three-point shooting that you've had in a couple seasons.
Oh, definitely. You know, when we went to Duluth, they were 12 of 24 from three-point land. And we were on the wrong end of one of those nights when the other team was just making everything, people off the bench are making everything. We were on the wrong end of that. And so it felt good Friday when we were playing Minot to be on the other end of that. And we have struggled all season shooting a good percentage from three-point land. But, you know, I've also mentioned that I felt like over the last couple of weeks that I'm seeing some things starting to show up that we had been struggling with, prior. But Allie got us going early. I think in the first half for sure. I think she hit 3 in the first quarter and maybe 3 more in the second quarter. I don't know. She had a bunch, but she hit some difficult shots when the clock was running down. A couple step back threes off the bounce and her teammates did a good job of, knowing where she was at and getting it to her at the right time. But it's contagious. Shooting's contagious. And we ended up shooting, I think we were 15 to 28, which is unbelievable. But you take it when you can get it, So I was really happy for her and our team that they had a good shooting game, especially from three-point land. And honestly, because we shot the ball so well, we got a big lead early, and then things snowballed on Minot. Defensively, we did a really good job of containing their 3 scoring guards, and we had a lot of balance, and we were scoring from everywhere, and it was just one of those nights. But they're a much better team, and there's a possibility that we could end up playing them again if things fall right. But they're a much better team than what the final score was. But it was a fun evening. We got to play everybody. We played pretty basketball. It was a clean game. But I also remember with about 4 minutes to go in that game, telling the bench, it's like, we probably need to save some of this for tomorrow night when we got ready to play Mary. But the next night against Mary, very talented team. We were fortunate that one of their main scorers, yeah, she I don't know when she got sick, but I guess she was really sick with the flu and throwing up in the locker room, and some of our players, seen them actually help her to the car or to somebody's car after the game was over. What a terrible trip to get sick on. It's so long. But, she played Friday night at Upper Iowa, so it hit her quickly. But it made it a lot easier for us with our defensive scheme to double or triple team the other one, since she didn't have her partner in crime out there with her at the same time. But still, that was a very physical game, which is going to affect shooting percentage. We still shot decent from three-point land. I think we were 8 of 19. And then at the end of the game, we finished making our free throws, and had a defensive stop to keep them from putting it in overtime.
I kind of want to get into your mind a little bit then for this Mary game.
Yeah.
So when you're out on the court and you don't see one of the stars or somebody that you were expecting to see out on the court for the other team, does that make you think about how you're going to play the rest of the game, or do you, how does that change things?
It makes me nervous, and the reason it makes me nervous is because you have a game plan designed for their 5 starters or whoever they play the majority of the time, and that kind of just blows up your game plan. But we're late enough in the season now, and we have enough experience, and our players are smart enough that from making adjustments throughout the course of the season, they understand when, you know, we have an opportunity to change something on the fly there. Usually you have one or two backup plans too. So, you know, my biggest concern is I always worry about some of our players, you know, relaxing or becoming complacent or thinking things are going to be easier. There was nothing at all easy about that game. It was a grind from start to finish, but that was a big win for us, and you know, we'll take them whenever we can get them, and in any way we can get them. It doesn't matter if you win by one or a bunch. It's, you know, they're all impactful games with playoffs, you know, in the near future.
Do you do any scoreboard watching now? Because coming into this past weekend, I think you were up by one over Wayne, and I think it was Southwest.
Yeah.
And then they both lost. And
yeah.
so this weekend was great to get the sweep.
It created some separation for us, but Mankato is, I think they've won 4 in a row, and now they are tied with Wayne and Southwest. So we all have to play each other these next 2 weekends, and we've put ourselves in a position where, you know, 2 more wins guarantees that we would have a home playoff game. But you know, both games this weekend are going to be really tough, and then we come home and we have Concordia, Mankato. I mean, we could go 0-4, we could go, you know, 1-3, 2-2, you know, or just the opposite. So you just gotta prepare the best that you can and hope that you play really well. And but we're in a position where we don't have to depend on other people for help. We just try to take care of business and get ourselves, you know, a home playoff game.
All right, last minute of this segment. Now you go to Sioux Falls in Southwest. How do you match up against these teams the second time around?
Well, both teams are going to be more familiar with each other since the first meeting. Sioux Falls, I don't think they've lost since their game here. They have scored a lot of points the last 2 weekends. They went on the road last weekend and won at Moorhead on Saturday. That's a huge win for them. The last 3 years, this is bizarre, the last 3 years we've played at Sioux Falls, every one of them have been a one-point game. And so, you know, we're expecting a close game, a hard-fought game. That's how you prepare, is for a close, hard-fought game, and which means that every possession is crucial at both ends of the floor. But this is an exciting time of the year. We got a lot to play for. We feel like we're playing some of our best basketball of the year, and hopefully we can, you know, take that momentum into this weekend. And I'd be remiss to not mention that alumni weekend was this past Saturday. So I think we had 13 or 14 alum here. It was a lot of fun to watch them play and interact with them and introduce our current team to them and be grateful and thankful for what they started when they were here, and now our players and our program are reaping the benefits of that. So kudos to them.
Yeah, it was fun to see them out on the court, and it was fun to see them watch your game too, because I know there were a couple that didn't play in the game that then came in and watched the game on Saturday.
It was a fun evening.
All right, we're going to take a break here on Warriors Fast Break. When we come back, Jenna Johnson will join us right after this.
I'm Lance Garrick with Computers on the Go. I mainly support small businesses in the area with their IT. I've got clients that use multiple locations, and we connect them back using virtual private networks. I've always recommended HPC to my clients so that we can have safe, reliable service and not have any downtime. And in order for that to work, I have to have a reliable, secure, fast internet connection, and HPC's always provided that for me.
Contact HBC about our lightning-fast home and business internet connections today.
Stay up to date with Winona Area Public Schools by watching Making the Grade here on HBC TV 25, presented by Cost Cutters. Join me, Superintendent Rich Dahman, each month for interviews with administrators, district staff, and students. Tune in to Making the Grade Monday through Friday here on HBC TV 25, brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona, located in the professional building in the Winona Mall Annex.
Be sure to check out US Golf TV, where you are going to see golf products that you have never seen before. You're also going to see golf tips from some of the leading instructors around the country that are truly changing the way people are teaching the game and challenging the status quo. Also, you're going to see fitness tips that are revolutionizing the way PGA Tour pros are training their body and swinging the golf club. If you want something different, if you're looking for some new information, US Golf TV has it. Be sure to check your local listings. US Golf TV, we've got you covered.
And welcome back to Warriors Fast Break here on HBC TV 25. Jenna Johnson now joins us, freshman. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you.
We always like to go backwards and find out who you were in high school before you became a Warrior, and you were a very successful basketball and volleyball player at Johnston in Iowa. Tell us a little bit, the basketball program was very successful. Tell us some of your memories from your high school basketball career.
Yeah, so the 4 years that I played were the first 4 years in a row that we had made it to state every single year, and we just had a lot of really good talent all my years that I played, and we just were really successful with our teams that we had. So
I want to ask about one moment that I found doing my research. It was an overtime game against Davenport North, and you were the inbounder to send the game to overtime. Can you tell us a little bit about that game?
Oh, that was a crazy game. There were so many people there. It was packed. It was our sub-state final game, so that game was to go to state. And there were 3 seconds left on the clock. We were down by 3. We were just trying to get the ball in, needed to get a shot off, and we threw it to our freshman point guard, Maya McDermott, and she just heaved a prayer and banked it in, and that really just got us going into overtime. And we ended up winning, I think, by like 7 in overtime. And yeah, so that was awesome. That was such a fun game.
Very good. So how did you make the decision then to come to Winona State? What was the thing that kind of pushed Winona State over to come here?
Yeah, just compared to other schools, when I came here, Winona was just a really good fit for me academic-wise. And then on the basketball side, when I met with the girls and the coaches, I just felt really comfortable and welcomed right away. So I just felt like home, so it was a good place for me.
All right, and what is it that you saw in Jenna that you wanted to get her here to Winona State?
Well, we thought we were done recruiting that previous fall, and then I think we ended up having an unexpected, roster spot open up, and we were watching the Iowa State tournament, and we had heard about her and knew a little bit about her, but we hadn't got to see her play in person with her high school team. We had seen her a little bit in AAU, but when we got to watch her in the state tournament, it's like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. If we got a chance to get her to come up and visit, we certainly were going to do that.
Very good. Now, you heard us talk about the alumni game, and you were one of the referees for the alumni game.
Yeah.
Tell us about that experience.
That was fun. We didn't make a lot of calls because we didn't want to upset anybody, but yeah, it was fun. It was definitely interesting. They were trying to interact with us, say like, I'll slip you a 20 if you give me this call. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was fun interacting with the alumni.
And I did hear a little razzing of Coach Wirtz and maybe Hannah a little bit.
Wirtz got upset with me. One foul I called on her. I was about to tear up, but I didn't. So yeah, it was fun.
Last minute of this segment, you're seeing some more minutes now in the Warrior lineup. Tell us about the transition from high school to college and how you've been able to make that.
Yeah, the college game is definitely a lot more intense and quicker pace, and you have to make a lot smarter decisions with the ball, and just being in a new position, like as a freshman, it's obviously way different from high school when you're counted on as a leader, especially as a senior, and then you come and now you're a freshman. And Coach always tells us just to take our opportunity when it comes and make the best of it, so that's what I'm trying to do.
All right, very good. Well, thank you for joining us here, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us here on Warriors Fast Break. We'll see you next time here on HBC TV 25.